how to organize your day to be more productive. Everybody has the same 24 hours in their day, but the key to being productive is knowing how to utilize those 24 hours in the most productive way possible to get to that end desire that you really want. Hi, I'm Rachel Steininger, and I'm so excited to have you here today because we're gonna go through my top 5 tips for how to organize your day to be more productive. And I know you're gonna love this because we're gonna start with some things that actually have to do long before your day gets started, but really aren't that hard to implement. We're gonna also dive into quick tips you can use to reset during the day when you feel that productivity failing you, when it's just starting to slip away from you. And then finally, we're gonna wrap up with some really key, easy to implement techniques that you can start to feel more in control of what you're doing and get that productivity ramped up and going. So let's get started. All right, as we dive into it, we're gonna start with organizing your day long before we actually get to your day. Because if you show up in the morning without any kind of plan, without any inkling of where you're going, there is no way that you can be productive. All you're going to end up doing is churning through urgent tasks, and at the end of the day, you'll be exhausted, but without having felt like you've accomplished anything. So I'd love to know what's your meaning of productivity. You can drop that down below in the comments. But I'll tell you mine. My meaning of productivity is to ensure that you are actually making significant progress towards the milestones that matter to you. Let me share what I mean by that. So milestones. I went on a road trip a couple years ago with my family, and as we planned out the road trip, we knew what our end destination was. We knew where we were going, the major stops along the way. But we also started looking at little milestones at different points in the journey, places where we could stop, get out, stretch our legs, know that we were on track, and know that we were going to get to see everything we wanted to see on this amazing road trip. We went to Yellowstone, we went to the Black Hills, but we also saw a lot of the little sites in between. Your business is the same way. Your productivity is the same way. If we know what the big vision is, the big outcome that you're looking for, we can start to determine what the milestones are inside of that. So my top tip is to start planning ahead for a very particular outcome, because instead of getting caught up in the day-to-day busyness, we want to ensure that our productivity is going towards those things that are going to get us that outcome. So let's say you start with a 5-year plan. You have a big goal for your business over the course of the next 5 years. What would you need to accomplish in the next 3 years to make that happen? What about the next 1 year? Now let's break it down to the next quarter. In the next 12 weeks, what would you need to achieve? Now, we can set huge goals, huge reach goals, but for milestones, our milestones are really about helping us bridge the journey to that big goal at the very end. And so what is it that we really need to accomplish to feel the most productive over the course of the next 12 weeks? Well, then break down the milestones from those 12 weeks into 1 week at a time. What's one thing that you need to accomplish, 2 things that you need to accomplish in order to make sure that you stay on track, keep hitting those milestones throughout the entire journey so that your end destination and everything you wanted to see along the way comes to fruition. Breaking that down in advance helps us when we get into organizing our particular day, because we actually know what those milestones are, where we need to carve out time, and ensuring that we have a place and a time for doing exactly the productive work that we need to do. So that's tip number 1, and I'd love to hear in those comments below, what is your definition of productivity? Is it like mine and wanting to reach a particular outcome, feeling like at the end of the day I didn't just churn through urgent after urgent tasks? Because there are some days like that. But is it to really move the needle forward and know that you've been productive towards that final outcome? If you have a different one, I'd love to hear it in the comments, or if you agree, let me know that too. Now let's get into our next couple of tips. And again, we're working from ahead of the day to make sure that when we get to organizing our day, we can be productive as possible. So the next tip is really about maintaining the energy that we're going to need through the day. And that comes through carving out room for 2 things: sleep, drinking enough water. What do these have to do with organizing? Well, if we aren't getting enough sleep or drinking enough water, our bodies don't operate at their very best. So oftentimes what we do is we skimp out on those things because we think that to be productive, we just need more time. But being productive means doing more in less time, which means we can still devote that time to sleep and to drinking water, things that are going to keep our energy up and keep us moving towards that final goal. So look at your productivity and look at whether or not you're getting enough sleep or drinking enough water, and those could be some quick fixes to boost your productivity and get you back on that overall journey towards the outcome you want to achieve. The other thing is, as we've marked out all of these milestones, our number 3 tip is to ensure that you have strategic time on your calendar. Now, for anybody who hasn't done this before, what this means is carving out white space on your calendar, time to be creative, time to do deep work, as Newport calls it in his excellent book. It's time to spend time on strategic projects, those things that are not urgent but very important, to ensure, again, that we're moving the needle towards the outcomes we want to achieve. If you've mapped out those milestones, as I suggested earlier, it should be easy to identify what you would be working on during this strategic time. Calls that you need to make, projects you need to create or work on, content that you need to create. What is it that is important that you can carve out this time for? Now, when I first suggest this to a lot of my clients, they balk at it. I couldn't be away from my phone. I need to be responsive. But the truth of the matter is that maybe you only need 1 hour to start with. Can you walk away from calls for 1 hour? Can you walk away from email or social media for just 1 hour? It will be amazing to you how much more productivity you can get out of your day by carving out that 1 hour. Now, before I get into the last 2 tips, I'd love you to hit subscribe on this video because we share great tips for you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to ensure you're getting the most out of your day, out of your business, out of your life. So please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. I know you don't want to miss out. Now we get to the last 2 tips, and these are all about actually organizing within the day itself. Notice how more of our tips had to do with pre-planning, about making sure that we're ready as we enter our day. Now, how do we actually deal fundamentally with productivity during the day itself? First tip is dealing with all of that noise, all of the things to do. How are you dealing with it? That's my question to you. Are you dealing with tasks over here in email and other tasks in your calendar and others in a project management tool and others written down on Post-it notes that are spread throughout your entire office? I've been there. The key to this is collecting it all in one place. Make sure that as you're thinking about all the tasks, you continue to write them down. They don't stay up here in your brain. Get them out of your brain space and onto paper or into a tool that you use, that you can use consistently, and keep everything in one place. Once you have that, this collection tool for all of your tasks, as you're planning out your day, as you're thinking about what you're going to accomplish that day as part of the milestones you're working towards, keep only the tasks that you absolutely have to get done that day. So I keep my tasks all collected in one spot, and then as I'm planning out my day in my daily planner, I actually write them out, and I write out just the top priorities for the day and those tasks that I think I could fit into, let's say, a half-an-hour block of phone calls, responses, other things that I need to keep up with, little follow-up things, all the busy work. But it's all in one spot, and I'm not putting everything there in front of me day to day, but just the things that are most critical done that day, because I know that all of the other tasks are safely stored in another spot, all together, waiting for me to get to them. So that is a way of organizing all of that busyness and keeping it out of your brain in a direct spot where you can access it at any time, and that it's not scattered through so many different places, on little scraps of paper, on a napkin, scattered in other places, because that's what causes us to lose track, and then we lose productivity as a result. Final tip. In the midst of all this busyness, that brain space is so important. I keep coming back to that in tip after tip, right? Carving out the strategic time, making sure the tasks are not being stored in your head, but on paper or in a project management tool of some sort. And this final one is how to deal with that overwhelm on the day-to-day basis. When you're in the middle of it, take a moment for a reset. Go ahead and hit that reset button. Take a step back. Maybe for you that means a little bit of meditation. Maybe that means taking a stretch break. Maybe it means getting up and walking around the block and getting a little bit of fresh air. Take 5 minutes for yourself just to reset yourself from stressful situations and being able to go into your next task, your next meeting with full energy and attention, because that is what is going to truly allow you to be productive. Now, if you want to see what actually happens in a company when people start putting this to use, check out the case study in the links below. You're going to see a company that was able to double their revenue, get the business owner working on the business instead of in the business, and I know you're going to love seeing that. So go check out that link below, and I will see you in next week's video. Thanks.